almost 2 years ago, not long after the pandemic started. And we all were thinking that are going to be just a few more months before we get back to normal. I was writing an article, not for a specific publication, but merely in a redemptive way, finding myself human again, elevated on the brink of a song. I was breathing as part of the one universal breath that at that time was wandering around the globe manifold ways. We were all together suffering, all together crying, all together helping each other, all together celebrating any small or big victory. I was all of a sudden proud to be a villager in this large universal village, leaving my cynicism aside and embracing the corny but healthy feeling of camaraderie. So at that time, I was writing the following. I realize how much I miss the simple, raw expressions of humanity these days. I realize that there is no amazing grace bestowed on stone or metal, only on people. Yet I'm sad because something inside me tells me that when all of this emptiness, and I was at that time referring to the intense, deadly initial attack of the virus, so when all this emptiness exhausts itself, we might be going back to being the same aging ignoramuses. In other words, plainly stupid people who got ourselves here in the first time and in the first place. I had no clue at that time, unfortunately none of us did, that this will prove to be way too real, that once the first wave of the pandemic will start fading away, the planet will indeed fall under a brutal attack of stupidity and ignorance, beginning with all that American tragicomedy and continuing with the vaccine saga. And here we are, way into the fourth wave of the same pandemic, giving the word polarization ever new meanings and seeming to relieve in a demented spiral the end of the story of the bubble tower. As if we needed more reasons to judge each other, our personal law and order condemning vocabulary has been enriched with yet another verdict. Are you vaccinated? And all its corollaries. I'm asking you, how in the world did we get here? As story goes, Benjamin Franklin was walking out of Independence Hall after the Constitutional Convention in 1787 when someone shouted out, "Doctor, what have we got, a republic or a monarchy?" Which Franklin supposedly responded at once, both witty and ominous. "A republic, if you can keep it." I would dare to paraphrase and say that in pivotal moments like this, when each of us have been entrusted with care over a religion or a country or a city or one community or one family, we will have those if we can keep it. It is easy to dichotomize us and them according to one's assumptions, baggage, choices, or rejections. What is not easy is to elevate oneself above all these and see a wider perspective. But exactly this uneasiness will make me one skipper's brother, also in the sense quoted above. Yesterday, I read the bragging of a photographer saying that all summer long he attended many weddings and spent time in enclosed spaces with about 3,000 strangers who did not wear or assume any protection against COVID-19. He also added that he even shared the bed with someone who had COVID-19, but he didn't get it, in spite of not getting any vaccine or protecting himself in any way. He said he will go to the market to buy some fruit and vegetables and mix it with garlic and make himself a nice smoothie that will keep this flu, please notice my quotations mark, and any other viruses at bay. This guy, the photographer, was writing all this as an answer to a friend of mine who was announcing that she got her third booster dose of vaccine. And he finished his rant saying a big bless you all. Now, while I was preparing for this webinar, even now as we are in this webinar, my mother has not been feeling very well. We actually had to call the ambulance. She's been having COVID-19 for about a week. And after the initial mild symptoms, she fell in bed quite ill, feeling very, very nauseous and having diarrhea. Over the past 3 years, my mom had 3 rather complicated surgeries. Her digestive system is very sensitive at the best of days. She developed a long and complicated list of allergies, some of them to most common medication for nausea and diarrhea, and also some antibiotics. She cannot even have a smoothie or even too much garlic before it reacts with her. And she's one of the rare but real cases who cannot take a vaccine. And yet she got the virus in spite of us around her and herself being extremely cautious. Can anyone explain this rather ironic situation to me? What would you have done? Would it have worked replying to that photographer and tell him he's an, please excuse my colloquialism, irresponsible sad ass who should be very quiet and get in line for the job? Or maybe I should just call my mom and reassure her about her great immune system and that she'll be fine, while also recommended she makes herself a smoothie. How did we get here, dear people? But maybe it doesn't even matter how we got here. Maybe what matters most is how we get out of here. Maybe it matters most to remember the golden rule proclaimed by Jesus of Nazareth during his Sermon on the Mount and described by him as the second greatest commandment. The common English phrase, I think it is, do unto others what you would have them do unto you. Maybe if we have nothing to say that does not sound smart and insensible, we should just stop. If you are a follower of Jesus of Nazareth, maybe it is time more than ever before to remember what it means to be a real disciple of him. And if you're not a follower of Jesus, well, maybe you should become one to begin with. But if you don't want to become one, maybe you should just look up the word common sense in a dictionary. I'm quoting here what the Oxford Dictionary says. Common sense means good sense and sound judgment in practical matters. And after we have looked that up, maybe we should start living according to that.